Hi, I'm Gina Coleman from Misty Blues. And I guess some folks were interested in us and had some questions for the band. And I've really been enjoying some of the interview questions that the other bandmates have been answering. And so I guess it's my turn. So let's get at it. Which mystical creature would improve the world the most if it existed? Okay, well, I'm not really up to date with my mystical creatures, but I guess it would be the unicorn because it has healing powers, and that's good for the world. All right, next question. Why is the plural of moose not meese? Because the rules to the English language, there's far more exceptions than, to those rules than there are rules. That's, you know, that's the best answer I think I have. Just for people's knowledge, the plural of moose is moose. And the word meese, I think, was it David Meese? Wasn't he like the 18th century Dutch botanist? I think so. All right, I'm gonna move on. Why do geese fly in a V formation? And why is one side longer than the other? All right, okay. So the V formation, it's to conserve energy. I believe that the bird at the front flies slightly higher than the one behind it, to reduce wind resistance, and so that allows the group to fly longer before having to take a break. I do understand that the birds in the front rotate. Well, all the birds rotate. So if the bird in the front pulls back to the rear, because it's less taxing. In terms of why is one side longer, I guess geese have no sense of symmetry. All right. What's your favorite Spinal Tap song? Someone knows me out there. Well, if she's not on the 519, then I'm going to know what sorrow means. And I'm going to cry, cry, cry. All the way home. All the way home. One of the earliest Spinal Tap tunes, and by far the most clearly rooted in the blues. Good question. Alrighty. What artist has had the greatest impact on you musically? All right. On the surface, that's nearly an impossible question, but when you think about it again, when I think about it, the musician that's had the greatest impact on me musically have been the ones that I have had the honor and privilege of playing with and creating music with. So from the guys in Coal Connection to 20 years of members, 22 years of members in Misty Blues, to side projects that I've worked on with various musicians, to my own son, writing music with him, has had a deep impact on music and how I view music and how I create music and the experiences that I derive from partnering with those musicians. Okay. What did you tell your 16-year-old self? My 16-year-old self. Well, I probably told my 16-year-old self the same thing I tell myself today. Get up. Get back up. I haven't had the easiest of lives. My life hasn't been the easiest, and I've had incredible highs, um, followed by some knee chopping lows. And I'm a grinder. You just have to get right back on your feet and keep on going. So get back up. All right. Did growing up in New York City influence your sense of music, especially as a means of survival for the soul and spirit? Well, yeah, I grew up in the South Bronx in the 70s, and that's right when the birth of hip hop and rap, and I could look out of my apartment window in the projects at night, and there would be folks in the playground spinning records and DJing and rapping, and so that was very ever present in my youth. Also, grew up in a community that had a deep love and appreciation for salsa music, as well as in my own household, soul and Motown and gospel. It was ever present. So, yes, it was a means, I could just escape into the music and kind of drift away from, kind of the social ills that were happening around me, because I grew up during the burning of the Bronx. So it wasn't the easiest times, but the music was ever present. What was the first musical instrument you learned to play? And have you taught yourself to play other instruments? Well, my first musical instrument, my grandfather purchased me a piano at the age of 5, and I played from the age of 5 to 13. My music teacher was Mrs. Horowitz, 3rd Avenue in the Bronx. And she was she was pretty rough. She would take a wooden ruler and crack me over the knuckles when my wrist would drop, and so I had a hard time sticking with that instrument. In fact, behind me is that very piano that my grandfather gifted me, and instead of getting it tuned and continuing to play it, it is now a curio table where I put little knickknacks on. Because Mrs. Horowitz was, I'm sure, a wonderful woman, but her motivational tactics were a little skewed. All right. Let's see. Have I taught myself any other instruments? Well, I have played a number of instruments. When I was in middle school, I was in a Latin drum corps called El Primer Grupo de Batuteras, Chileras y su Banda, and I play the drums throughout middle school and high school and music programs. I've played sousaphone, baritone horn, trumpet until I got braces, a little bit of saxophone. I have taken guitar lessons pretty much my entire life, and continue to do that. But in terms of instruments that I've really taught myself, the bass and cigar box guitar. All right. Who is your favorite singer? Okay. Almost another nearly impossible question, but I'm going to give this one a whirl. I love Patty Cathcart from Tuck and Patty. Her voice is so butter. Love her. Mavis Staples, love her vocal quality. In terms of, core blues singers, Coco Taylor, Big Mama Thornton, I love those husky, growling voices, almost pain. There's a pain in it that resonates with me. But if you were to ask me today, right now, in the last couple of days, what singer, what voice really speaks to me, I have been on such a Martin Sexton bender. I love his voice, and he's an amazing guitar player as well. But if you haven't heard of Martin Sexton, go on YouTube, check him out. He has such an incredible voice. All right. Of the original songs you've written, what was the easiest one to write, and which song is your favorite? All right, so the easiest song I've ever written was Treat Me Like I Want. I wrote it while I was on tour down in Birmingham. I think it was 2020. This pandemic, I have a hard time knowing what year it is. But yes, the last time we were down in Birmingham, touring in Birmingham, we had played a show at the Capitol Oyster Bar in Montgomery, Alabama, and we drove back to our host home in Birmingham, and I fell asleep, and this song came to me in my dream, whole, all the music, all the verses, everything. And when I woke up, I wrote it down, and then later on that day, I arranged it with the guys. We had a little rehearsal and arranged it with them. And then that very night, we went off to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, and we recorded that song in Fame Recording Studios. So I recorded a song in Fame Recording Studios, the iconic Fame Recording Studios, after having written it in less than 24 hours. So I think that's a pretty cool story. In terms of what's my favorite original song I've written, it's kind of like my favorite Misty Blues album. It's the most current. So I would have to say it's a song that I've written for this upcoming 11th album, and I would say it's a long, hard way. And you'll hear that soon enough. All right. What is the fondest musical memory from your childhood? I remember going to a local park, St. Mary's Park in the Bronx, and seeing Tito Puentes and Celia Cruz. And it was such an amazing free concert, throngs of people, dancing everywhere, food vendors, it was such a jubilant event, and so memorable, clearly, as that's like one of the first things that comes to mind when I read that question. But in terms of something that's a little closer to my family, my grandparents would take me regularly on the holidays to my great cousin Ethel's house. And she had a larger-than-life personality, and she played the piano and sang, and she sang these amazing gospel songs, and she was just wonderful. And I just remember sitting on the floor by her feet at the piano, just marveling at her and thinking that she was like a superstar. So that's just a really fond memory. Cousin Ethel. All right. Last question. What's your vocal range? Well, I think technically I'm a contralto. I have one of the lowest female voices. I hadn't really tested my vocal range, so I actually had to get an app and test out where I fall. Apparently, according to this app, my lowest note is an E2, and my highest is an A5, which gives me a vocal octave range of just shy of 3.5 octaves. So thank you so much for these amazing questions and some kind of weird ones, but I love all of them. And I love that you guys are interested in Misty Blues, and I can't wait to see you out soon. Take care.